Becoming unavailable is the first step to self-respect, Carl Jung. There comes a moment in every person's life when they realize that being constantly available, emotionally, mentally, even physically, can drain their spirit, leaving them resentful and disconnected from their true self. This truth is echoed by Carl Jung, one of the most influential psychologists in history, who understood that our journey to wholeness, what he called individuation, requires us to step back, create space, and protect our inner world. In today's hyper-connected, always-on world, the pressure to be available 24/7 is immense. We feel obligated to respond immediately to messages, attend to others' needs, and constantly prove our worth by being there for everyone. But this kind of constant availability can become a trap that robs us of authenticity, self-respect, and peace. Jung believed that individuation, the process of becoming our true self, requires setting boundaries. Becoming unavailable is not about becoming cold or detached from people. It is about discerning what is ours to carry emotionally and what belongs to others. It is about protecting our energy so that we can grow, heal, and stand firm in our identity. Why constant availability can cost you. Imagine a world where your every message is answered instantly, every call immediately returned, and every emotional request met without hesitation. At first, this might seem like the ideal, reliable, loving, supportive. But what happens when this availability becomes your default state? You become exhausted. You lose sight of your own needs. You start carrying the weight of other people's emotions, their expectations, and their dramas. Jung suggested that many of us unconsciously project our unfulfilled needs onto others. We stay constantly engaged as a way to avoid looking inward, to avoid facing our own shadows. This endless giving leads to emotional depletion. You give so much that you have nothing left for yourself. You become a version of yourself that exists solely to serve others, forgetting who you are in the process. This, my friend, is why being constantly available can hurt your self-respect more than anything else. Detachment is not coldness, it's clarity. Let's clear up a common misconception. Emotional detachment does not mean becoming unfeeling or uncaring. In fact, true detachment is a form of deep clarity. When you practice detachment, you learn to distinguish between your emotions and the emotions of those around you. You see situations for what they are, without getting lost in the chaos or drama. You love deeply, but you do not lose yourself in others' turmoil. Jung taught that growth begins when we stop seeking external validation and start seeking inner understanding. When you are unavailable emotionally to people who drain you, you create the space to understand yourself better. You begin to respond from a place of calm rather than reaction. The power of boundaries in cultivating self-respect. Boundaries are not walls designed to keep others out, they are doors that you control. They mark your sacred ground, the space where your energy, values, and peace live. Without boundaries, you become vulnerable to emotional erosion. Others may take advantage of your availability, crossing lines that you never even realized were there. Jung emphasized that individuation requires confronting your shadow, those unconscious parts of yourself that allow others to overstep your limits. When you say no to others, you say yes to yourself. You respect your time, your energy, and your emotional health. This act of setting boundaries is one of the most powerful steps you can take towards self-respect. Why becoming unavailable is the first step to individuation. Individuation is the process Jung described as becoming your whole, authentic self, not the self shaped by societal expectations or other people's demands. To individuate, you must step away from the noise, from the roles you've been playing. You must ask yourself tough questions. Who am I really? What do I truly value? What am I willing to tolerate, and what am I not? Becoming unavailable is the beginning of this process. It is your way of reclaiming your power, your energy, and your identity. You stop living for others and start living as you. You don't owe everyone your energy. One of the hardest lessons to learn is that you don't owe everyone your time, attention, or emotional labor. The impulse to please others, to be constantly on, is deeply ingrained in many of us. But Jung's teachings remind us that our energy is a finite resource, it must be guarded carefully. You don't have to justify why you don't answer a text right away. You don't need to explain why you need space or time alone. Not everyone deserves access to your inner world. That version of you who sacrifices their peace to keep others happy, that version is no longer sustainable. The moment you begin to honor your own limits, you shift the balance. You send a clear message: your well-being matters. This is not selfishness, it is self-preservation. The shadow work behind setting boundaries. Jung's concept of the shadow, the unconscious parts of ourselves that we reject or ignore, is critical in understanding why setting boundaries can be so difficult. Often, we allow others to overstep because we fear conflict, rejection, or loneliness. These fears arise from our shadow selves, which harbor deep-seated insecurities and unresolved pain. Becoming unavailable means facing these fears head-on. It means looking into the uncomfortable parts of yourself and saying, I deserve respect. I deserve peace. Shadow work is not easy, but it is necessary for true self-respect. The gift of silence and space. In our culture, silence is often feared or misunderstood. We fill every moment with noise, distraction, and connection. But silence is a powerful tool. By becoming unavailable, you create silence and space for reflection. In this quiet, your true self can emerge, undistorted by external demands or pressures. This space allows healing. It allows you to listen deeply to your needs, your desires, and your truths. It is here that individuation happens. Reclaiming your identity. When you step back from constant availability, you reclaim your identity. You stop being a reflection of others' expectations and begin to define yourself on your own terms. This is not about isolation. It's about connection with your inner self. You begin to understand who you are beyond your roles, your relationships, and your past. Jung believed this was essential to becoming whole. Without this reclamation, we remain fragmented, living life through others' lenses rather than our own. A radical act of self-love. Becoming unavailable is one of the most radical acts of self-love you can perform. It requires courage to say no, to disconnect, and to prioritize yourself. But in this courage lies freedom. Freedom from codependency, from people-pleasing, and from the exhaustion of constant availability. When you love yourself enough to protect your energy, you open the door to genuine peace and inner strength. Start today. You don't have to wait for the right time to begin this journey. Start small. Say no to one thing that drains you. Take 5 minutes of quiet time for yourself. Notice how it feels to set a boundary, even a tiny one. Every step toward becoming unavailable for what doesn't serve you is a step toward greater self-respect and individuation. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by always being available? How have you set boundaries in your life? Share your experiences and thoughts in the comments below. Your story might inspire someone else on this journey. A new beginning. Remember, becoming unavailable is not about shutting others out, it's about inviting yourself in. It's about honoring your inner world and recognizing your worth. Carl Jung knew that individuation required space, reflection, and detachment. By becoming unavailable, you take the first courageous step toward becoming your true, whole self. So, allow yourself the grace to step back, to go silent, and to choose you. Because when you reclaim your energy and your identity, nothing and nobody will ever hurt you the same way again. If this message resonated with you, please like the video, subscribe for more content on self-growth and psychology, and share it with someone who needs this reminder today.